No way, he can only return to the city of war alone. As soon as people arrived, they began to plan how to open Tiandaemen here to recruit disciples. He approached Jin Suanbei and Yunfen to discuss. Both of them were insightful people and came up with their own ideas. Jin Suanbei believes that you can first avoid the front of Wushan Temple and go to other worlds to build the Tiandaemen branch. Wait until the forces are strong enough to confront them. Yun Feng's view is just the opposite. He thinks that since he has torn his face, he will hit it hard and build a heavenly gate in the Five Elements world and hit the other side's face. The two had different opinions, but ultimately Yaming had to take his idea. Thinking again and again, he said, I have an idea, you see if it is feasible or not. Now that I have trillions of eternal coins in my hand, I can spend a lot of money to attract real talented disciples into my heavenly gate. The Wushan Temple does not have a martial arts. Are you on the list? Everyone on the list gets a lot of money every year. Tiandaemen can also set up a list, and the reward is thousands of times higher than the other party. Jin Suanbei and Yunfen looked at each other. Although Yaming's method cost money, the effect was definitely immediate. Even this move may attract the talents of the Wushan Temple. After all, Yaming's exposed strength is not weaker than the Wushan Temple. The most important thing is that Tiandaemen is rich. The reward is so high that the fool will not come. Brother, the solution is feasible, but after that? Yunfen asked. Yaming, after setting the list, I will announce that people who join Tiandaemen can double their rewards and get a variety of cultivation resources. The main thing is that I will announce the world and say that I have there are good fortune gods. Those who are on the top 100 of the Valkyrie list and are also disciples of Tiandaemen can get a certain amount of good fortune gods for free. Jin Suanbei sighed, even I want to join the Valkyrie list. Yaming smiled, where is your brother to say, you will go to my immeasurable Shenhai, where there are the gods of creation and lightning of creation. Jin Suanbei was overjoyed and arched, thank you, master. Yunfen also shouted, brother, I want to go too. Yaming, you can go, but you can't be cheaper. After coming out, you have to help me do a few years. He is really too scarce now, like those of Chen Xing, although they can be trusted and capable, neither wisdom nor wisdom is sufficient. Yunfen and Jin Suanbei laughed, that's for sure. The next thing Yaming did was very crazy. The immortal tree took root in the 26 worlds under the rule of Wu Shen, and at the same time he released guards and distributed leaflets everywhere. The flyer stated that Tiandaemen will establish a martial arts list in the 27 worlds, and anyone can participate in the list. Once on the list, regardless of the other party's status, they can receive high bonuses every year. The list of Tiandaemen is very detailed, and it is divided into the list of warriors, the list of martial arts, 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 and the list of martial arts. Among them, Samurai list, Samurai and Samurai can participate, Samurai list, Samurai, Great Martial Arts can participate, Wuzongbang, Wuzong, Wuzun can participate, Wuzhun list, Wushan list, and Wu Shen list, only Wuzhun, Wushan, and Wu Shen can participate. Among them, the number of samurai standings is 30,000. For the 30,000th person, 100 million legal days coins can be obtained each year. And every time you increase one, you can get 100 million more days. Number 1 on the samurai list. Each year, he can get 3 trillion Fenshin coins, which is worth about 100 eternal coins. This money is nothing in Yaming's eyes, but in the eyes of a samurai little figure, it is an astronomical figure, so the attraction is very great. When he was a samurai, let alone the trillion Tianyuan coins. Even if only 100 million samurai coins are astronomical, you can purchase many training resources suitable for samurai. The martial arts list is for martial arts masters and big martial arts masters, and the quota has been reduced to 10,000. The 100th place in the martial arts list, you can get 5 billion Fenshin coins, and every time you increase one, you get 5 billion more. In the first place, more than 1,700 eternal coins can be obtained. At the martial arts stage, there is not much demand for cultivation resources. What it needs most are exercises and martial arts. The number of Wu Zongbang is also 10,000. Originally, Yaming did not want to set up Wu Zongbang because he felt that Wu Zone could be included in the Wu Jun list. But then I thought that Wu Zone was a key point in the martial arts practice. It played a role in linking up and down, and was very important. He simply took it out and made a list. Compared to the martial arts list, the minimum reward of the Wu Zone list was increased to 10 billion Fenchen coins, and the highest reward was 3,500 eternal coins. At the back of the list of Wu Jun, there are obviously some high-end, with 3,000 places. With a minimum of 100 million long-lived coins, each time you increase the ranking, 100 million long-lived coins are added, and the first place is up to 37,000 eternal coins. The martial arts ranking is even more ordinary. Directly at the bottom of 10 million eternal coins, there are only 500 places. Each time you increase the ranking, 100 million eternal coins will be added. The Valkyrie list has only 100 places, and the 100th 1 billion eternity coins, each increase of 1 place increases 1 billion eternity coins. First place, you can get 100 billion eternal coins. No doubt, this martial arts list is the most important, and the investment is a big one. It is through this martial arts list that Yaming wants to draw the world's martial arts talents to join them. The last is the Tiandao list, which is characterized by the fact that it is not required to be a warrior or the level of the realm. As long as you have confidence in yourself, you can join the Tiandao list and become the guest of Tiandaomen. Tiandao list competition is the most rewarding, with only 10 places. The 10th place is awarded 100 million yuan of eternal coins per year, the 9th place is awarded 200 billion yuan of eternal coins each year, and so on. The first place in the Tiandao list can get 1 trillion yuan of eternal coins per year. Of course, the premise of participating in the competition of Tiandao list is that you must join Tiandaomen and become an elder of Keqing. The so-called elder Keqing, to put it plainly, is a thug who comes and goes. These lists will consume Yaming's 12 trillion yuan of eternal coins every year. Even if he is sitting in Jinshan, I am afraid that he will not be able to persist for long. But he couldn't bear the child's inability to trap the wolf, he could only bite his teeth and throw a lot of money into it. Yaming's leaflet appeared not only in the 27 great worlds controlled by the Wushan Temple, but it also appeared in the immortal world, Confucianism, Buddhism, the Three Emperors, and even the old nest of Tianyuan mainland. Every year, 12 trillion yuan of eternal coins are thrown out, the effect is sensational, and the world seems to be boiling. Countless talented geniuses, countless teenagers who are obviously qualified but have no luck or resources, they have embarked on a journey to Tiandaomen. Even if they are selling pots of iron, they will have to collect the toll. On the mainland of Xiandao, a remote small village, 2 teenagers carried their bags and rushed to Taking City barefoot. It's just that their cultivation is too weak, so if they go on like this, they are afraid to go for decades. Can they hit the samurai list decades later? Fortunately, there is a simple and easy way on the leaflet, which is to pray prayerfully to the immortal tree, and naturally someone comes to greet it. The 2 teenagers looked at each other, kneeled on the ground, and called the immortal tree sincerely. Once, twice, and 3 times, after a full quarter of an hour, a vortex appeared in the void, and 2 swordsmen emerged from it. The 2 swordsmen guarded, and were desperate to come to pick up the competitors. The 2 swordsmen asked for their names, and Xiu Wei took them one by one, jumping into the whirlpool and disappearing. Dozens of big worlds, countless cities, countless towns, countless geniuses have taken a similar approach, and they all want to enter the list of Tiandaomen. As long as they can enter the list, their practice no longer has to worry. On the other side, Yaming has set up relevant institutions in each big world to specialize in the election of the sea, to eliminate those who are obviously not qualified, so as to facilitate the establishment of the list. In Xiandao mainland, Jin Suanbei and Leng Yuehao are the heads of the election. In fact, they don't need to do anything. Yaming has already spent a lot of money to customize a set of organ formation methods for selecting geniuses. There are 9 levels in this set of organ formation. Only those who pass all levels can go to Tianyuan mainland and participate in the final competition. In addition to Leng Yuehao, Jin Suanbei had Hua Qi and Shi Yufei. Shi Yufei's family was convicted. It was Yeming who held Huaqi before she rescued her family. Originally she was going to leave Xiandao mainland, but spent 7 because she made a lot of money and settled it all together. It's just that Shi Yufei can't go back to Sankingmen again, so she has been doing things around Huaqi for several years. Shi Yufei wanted to see Yeming, but she never had a chance. Knowing that Yeming wanted to recruit people, he recommended his talents and came to help. Spending money recently is also busy, and also came to help. There are 4 beauties around Huaqi, some pinching their shoulders, some rubbing their backs, some feeding fruits, and some singing. He was very laid back and asked lazily, "Brother Jin, what is Boss Ye doing?" Naturally, the people in Xiandao are mostly Xiaoxian, but he wants to come here to recruit martial arts. Can that work? Jin Suanbei said, "Every immortal, Confucian, and Buddha has a violent side, so there is a saying that the immortal, the Buddha, and the Confucianism are the same. In addition, the master's martial arts, the sea, the rivers, and any civilization, regardless of cultivation you can cultivate immediately, whatever you want. No civilization can do this so far. Huaqi, even if he can practice martial arts, it would be too wasteful for him to do so. But it is more than 10 trillion yuan a year. Sankingmen has not received so much in Chengdu in a year. Can he persist for a few years? I am afraid in a few years, that trillion yuan was ruined." Jin Suanbei laughed, "Brother Hua, you are also Yeming's friend, so you don't know him so much. As far as I know, he is a business wizard. A long time ago, he worked as a money bank in Tianyuan mainland. He made money very fast. Horror. Now, he is doing elixir business, and the annual income is also 5 or 6 trillion yuan, and the market is continuously expanding, and the income will be more and more. Listen to him, the next step is to spread the linguo business on a large scale. It will be another way to make money." Huaqi grinned and said, "This guy, really human, why can't I think of it?" Shi Yufei blinked her eyes and said, "Yu Xianxian told me about Qian Zhuang. I think once Tiandaomen's fame has risen, he can reopen the Qian Zhuang. On the one hand, he has experience, on the other hand, funding is not a problem. The third most important point is that Yeming can cooperate with several major forces." Jin Suanbei smiled, "You do know his mind. Before he came, he said that he wanted to join the 3 emperors' world, the legendary academies, Tiandaomen, Xiandao mainland, Confucianism, and Buddhism to open a super money house." Shi Yufei suddenly yearned and said, "I will definitely help him to do things. Jin Suanbei, you are also a person with ideas. It's better to follow Yeming with me." Shi Yufei laughed, "Okay, thank you so much. I'm afraid he won't see me." This money bank matter calmed down the spend 7, and asked, "You said, how much money this money bank can make every year?" Jin Xian said, "It's hard to say. There were dozens of big worlds in the early days. How many forces in each big world? How many monks? Presumably it is not difficult to deposit tens of trillions of eternal coins every year. Princess Yu, if it is several trillion, 1% is tens of trillions of eternal coins. Even if it is only 1,000th of profit, there are several trillions." Huaqi felt itchy, and said, "I must intervene in this business. Yeming is the god of wealth." Speaking of god of wealth, everyone was moved. Jin Suanbei said, "When it comes to god of wealth, I don't know if Yeming can surpass him." Shi Yufei also moved, saying, "The god of wealth is among the top 10 on the humanitarian list. No one knows his true identity, and no one knows how many industries he owns." Chatting, the selection over there has begun. In the huge square, there are millions of people who came from all over the mainland of Xiandao. They all came for the samurai list. The Immortal Tree Guards divided these competitors into hundreds of groups of 10,000 each, numbered 1, 2, and so on. Since people are still arriving one after another, the first comer is preferred, starting with the first group. This organization of Yeming can enter 10,000 people at a time, and testing at the same time, the efficiency is very high. In about half an hour, this group of people can choose qualified warriors. The large array of institutions is built in a special space with only one entrance and one exit. The group of players enters from the entrance and exits from the exit. Only those who exit within the specified time are considered qualified. A guard stood quietly at the exit. Within a quarter of an hour, a young man stepped out safely. The guard recorded the name of the other party, repaired it, and the time it took to pass the customs, and issued a token to him. So one after another, 3 more people stepped out, and then the time came, and the selection of the first group was over. This is too strict, right? Hua Qi shook his head. I have seen these people. The qualifications are really good. If they worship Sankingman, the chance is quite big. Such a qualified person, 10,000 in fact, only 4 were selected. Jin Suanbei, my brother said that there would be no shortage. The 30,000 places on the samurai list will become the foundation of Tiandaemen in the future and must not be sloppy. Hua Qi, in this way, the Xiandao mainland can also select more than 1,000 warriors, not more than 2,000. It's enough. Jin Xian Baidao said, as long as the major worlds can make up 30,000 places, things will be successful, and the rest is ranking. Hua Qi couldn't help asking about the ranking, and Jin Suanbei told him that this ranking takes into account the results of the election. Specifically, Yeming will let these warriors enter his infinite sea of spiritual practice, observe each person's strength, qualifications, wisdom, and so on, and then rank them. At the time when Yeming's selection was in full swing, Emperor Xiang and a high-level executive were all discouraged in the Wu Shen temple. The loss last time was really great. Although Han Ziu would not add the money, it was too aggrieved. Damn! Zhu Wang stomped his foot fiercely. Thousands of billions. If we have this money, we can select geniuses in all major worlds like him. This is good. Not only do we not have this money, but also slowly repay Han Ziu's debt. Even the only 1 trillion yuan in the family base has been invested. This is really... Don't hurry. De Ziangan said, after all, Yeming has a shallow foundation, and now his madness will only lead to the killing of himself. You mean a Protoss? Asked King Zhu. Emperor Xiang, yes. Once the Protoss consider him a threat, they must come and clear it. And you do nt mean that this son's other identity is not worthy of being a heir to the temple? Let this news go, those people will definitely take it. Zhu could not help but ask, who has always been against the immortal temple? Hi, that's the killing organization of the Protoss, I only know so much. Now, Yeming is sure to die. While in trouble, we can put the heavenly gate under control. Whatever he does now, he will marry us. Clothing. So what are you worried about? Sun Yi sighed, it's just a loss of face this time. People outside now say that the martial arts of Tiandaemen is more promising and better cultivated than Hanzu's, which is not a good sign. So what? As soon as Yeming dies, Tiandaemen is ours. Diction hummed heavily. We have been keeping our eyes low for a while now, let him be proud for a few days. While preparing for the Budo Martial Arts meeting to select world martial arts talents, Yeming opened a stadium in the Five Elements continent. He has hundreds of millions of talents, and it is no easy task to build anything. Only a few days' effort. A large building complex covering an area of 100,000 acres and countless houses has appeared. The Tiandaemen of the Five Elements continent was built on the Mountain of Five Elements, facing the Wuling city. On the other side of Tiandaemen, disciples have begun to move to the Five Elements continent and go out. For several days, Yeming couldn't relax, and he was very busy every day. One day, the sky above the Tianyuan continent suddenly plummeted with a cloud of lead, and it was pressed down by the black ground, making everyone have a dull feeling of lead on their hearts. People stared at the sky, wondering what happened. Yeming felt it for the first time. He stood on the top of the immortal tree and stared at the cloud of lead. A moment later, the lead cloud condensed into a mighty shore palace, and the door of the palace was open, and a golden armor emerged from it. The momentum of the Jinjia god should be the 9 realms of longevity, covering the world. Jin Jiashan's face was blurred. He was 1,000 feet tall, holding a spear, and said with a thunderous voice, "Gods will come. Heaven's gate will meet." Gods will? Yaming narrowed his eyes. According to legend, the 3 major Protoss jointly established a divine court to manage the affairs of the heavens and the world. The divine court is very mysterious and rarely intervenes in human affairs. Only a few times in history. Yaming stood on the crown of the tree, his eyes narrowed slightly, and he cried out, "Yaming, the heavenly gate. Kneel down." Jinjia said sharply. Yaming exclaimed, "My tribal man, only kneeling down on the parents. If you don't kneel, Tianyuan continent will immediately turn into flying ash." Jinjia Shen chilled. Yaming sneered, "Become fly ash? Okay, I'll take a look at it. How can you ash Tianyuan mainland?" Jin Jiashan didn't seem to expect Yaming to be so hard-hearted. As an emissary of the divine court, where has he always been? Everyone else is kneeling down and kneeling down. Don't think that with the Yuan Gangzhong, you can sit back and relax. I tell you that when the true God is angry, even the Yuan Gang will be wiped out, you know. Jinjia God roared. Yaming was a bit surprised. This mysterious palace was mysterious and high above him. How could he notice this little man? Although he was puzzled, he sneered, "What are you? Do you really want God to listen to you?" The Jinjia god was startled, but he didn't dare to say this, and he was furious. "Humble humans, let's stop talking. I counted 3 times. If you don't kneel, you will be killed and destroyed by the temple heavenly gate." Yaming immediately communicated the city of war. The next moment, a huge city appeared above the immortal tree. At this point, the city of war was already full of nebula cannons and nebula cannons. Among them, there are more than 300,000 nebula cannons. There are also tens of thousands of nebula cannons. City of war, let me see your full fire power. Yaming coldly. 1. So, when the number of the golden armor gods was a number, he saw countless artillery fires converging into an unprecedented super artillery fire, and blasted at him. "This!" he screamed, and quickly immortalized Yunyun's secret method, trying to attract the power of the Shenting to fight. After the lead cloud, a huge black vortex appeared. However, he was too slow. Although the city of war was not fully equipped, a volley now is extremely terrifying. I saw that the light was shining, all the lead clouds, along with the gold armor and the vortex behind them disappeared, completely evaporated, leaving no residue. The horrible killing of light, after evaporating the enemy, actually condensed into a web of light and ran across the Tianyuan continent. If anyone is watching in the endless void, they will find that Tianyuan continent is like a giant light egg suspended quietly in the void. Hundreds of thousands of killing charms suddenly appeared outside the light eggs, and they were connected together to form a rune array that protected the Tianyuan continent. Yaming apparently did not expect that the city of war would do the same. He asked in surprise, "Small battle, I never expected that the nebula cannons were killed, but they could converge into a killing line. And this killing line can actually be defended." Tianyuan continent. The city of war proudly said, "What is this? In the future, the host will give me more divine restraints, and I can evolve more complicated gunfire to kill the array. As for the rune array outside the Tianyuan continent, I feel this strike use small things, simply let it stay outside, and form a large array of guards. Once an external enemy invades, which is not conducive to the Tianyuan continent, the killing array will be reinvigorated, all blasting towards the invaders." Yaming was very happy and said, "Very good. I must look for the most powerful killing team in the world for you." The war boy jumped out and cried, "Does the host take this seriously?" Yaming laughed, "You are very pleasantly surprised. I naturally want to help you grow up." The war boy said, "As long as the master can find the top 10 killing arrays, anyone can greatly improve the small one. Maybe the small one has the opportunity to advance into the artifact." Oh! Yaming was intrigued. Top 10 kills. War boy, the strongest killing team in the world has been put on a list. The first ranked player is called the first killing team, and the second ranked player is called the second killing team. As for their original formation, no one knows it. Yaming nodded. Presumably the top 10 killing team must be very powerful. I will try to find it. But if it is successful, it depends on luck. The war boy laughed. The master is a man with good luck, maybe he can be found. After killing the so-called angel of the divine court, Yaming was puzzled and said, how could the divine court notice me? Emperor Xiong has already received the news of the Wu Shen temple, and he sneered, this boy, I really didn't let me down. Zhu Wangdao, the master of the palace, is really like a god, knowing that Yaming will definitely resist the ambassador of God. In this way, the divine court is really shocked, and his death is not far away. Emperor Xiong, thanks to Sun Yi, he has a relationship with that god. Sun Yi laughed, I just told him that Yaming has a lot of treasures, and he is timid and scared. As long as he threatens in the past, the other party will surely hand in the baby. God is the greedy. After hearing what I said, Baba immediately went to find Yaming. Emperor Xiong sneered, Yaming will have big troubles next, we can sit back and watch the show. Yaming thought that there might be trouble if he killed the ambassador. The other person is a person from Shenting, but he thought for a while that Shenting would never let the Lord God do it to deal with him. Even if the Lord God shot, he still has a lunatic mask, so why fear it? Thinking of this, he settled down again, but felt that he should be prepared. So he found Little Death and asked, Little Death, can you now communicate the providence of Tianyuan continent? Dam nodded, yes. Is it possible to refine the will of God? Yaming asked. The will of a big world's providence is almost not under the power of the Lord God. If the will of heaven can be refined, then the Tianyuan continent is really solid. Xiao Si thought for a while, refining is okay, but the technique will be more intense and it will consume a lot of resources. Yaming, oh? How can I refine heaven? Little Death, the immortal tree will completely turn the Tianyuan continent into its own body, and then the dove will occupy the nest, and let nature control the will of God. After all, the will of God cannot be separated from the big world, and controlling the big world is equal to controlling providence. Yaming, what resources will be consumed? He moved. Firstly, 3 true bones are needed, and secondly, eternal power is needed to help and temporarily suppress the providence. Xiao died. Yaming almost jumped up, even if the 3 skeletons are still there, even the eternal should shoot? If I can invite the eternal God, will I still use refining heaven? Xiaoshi shrugged, no way, if you want to refine, this is the only way. Yaming, but as far as I know, the providence of Tai world is even refined by the Beast Emperor. I haven't seen him ask the Eternal to help. Little Death, that shows that the providence of the Tai great world has just formed. Unlike the continent of heaven, the providence has existed for a long time. It is very powerful and cannot be easily refined. Yaming was silent and bit his teeth. Okay, let me try it, I don't know if it will succeed. In his opinion, refining the providence now is more important than the martial arts conference, so immediately he couldn't wait to go to the legendary school and find the old Huang. Old Huang still looks like that, lazily basking in the door. He saw Yaming and sneered, boy, what are you doing again? Yaming arched his hand, seniors, juniors have something to ask for. Go away, I don't have time. Lao Huang said impatiently. Yaming blinked and said, the predecessors are powerful, so they must be able to foresee the future. Old Huang finally opened his eyes and asked, what is your kid trying to say? Yaming said, what the younger generation wants to say is that the seniors have kindness to me. If I become an eternal power in the future, I will definitely help the seniors leave the legendary school and return the seniors to freedom. Lao Huangteng had to sit up, staring at Yeming, and said, "Boy, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't just say anything. If you say a word today, wait for the supreme cause and plant it in the future. Can you bear it?" Yeming said, "The juniors understand, but the juniors will still say so. If I am the Lord God in the future, I will help the seniors to obtain freedom." Lao Huang laughed, "Hey, it's been a little longer, but you do have a chance. Whatever do you want me to do?" Yeming then said the matter of refining natural providence. Lao Huang snorted, "What else should I do? It turned out to suppress natural providence. This is easy." Yemingki said, "Easy? Seniors and juniors have nothing to do. Maybe the strength of the day is more important than the master. Lao Huangdao, on the level, God's will is about the same as the Lord's God. But in terms of wisdom experience, God's will cannot be compared with the Lord's God. That is to say, the Lord's God must lose to God's will. The situation is different." Yeming nodded, "There will be seniors. Lao Huang, help the people to the end, send the Buddha to the west, and I will give you the bones of the Lord God." Then, a ring encircled fell to the ground. Yeming picked it up and found that there were 12 true bones inside, and he was startled, "So many. Old Zodiac, come here." Yeming obediently walked over. Lao Huang bit his finger, let Yeming spread his palm, and stroked a sign in his palm, saying, "After you go back, stand outside Tianyuan continent and press the palm of your hand to suppress God's will. However, I can only use this truth 3 times. You can suppress 3 hours at a time. You must act as soon as possible." Yeming was overjoyed, "Thank you seniors." Then, he also gave all the flesh obtained from the trial ground to Lao Huang. Lao Huang glanced at the jerky and smiled, "Yes, it's barely edible." Then he gave Yeming a list. Yeming took a look at it, and it was actually a recipe for brewing wine, named Creating God Brewing. This wine requires 981 kinds of precious materials, and then brewed with the liquid. The main thing is that it needs the thunder of nature to ferment. When he saw Fang Zii, his heart moved, and he knew Lao Huang saw that he had the ability to create the god of thunder and the lightning of creation, and laughed, "The seniors can rest assured that I will bring the god of creation for a year at most." "Okay, go." Lao Huang was impatient again and waved his hand to let Yeming leave. Returning to the Tianyuan continent, Yeming contacted Xiao Dai. At this time, he was standing in the endless void outside the Tianyuan continent. There was no concept of time and space in the void, and it was very cold and silent. Ahead, he saw a huge light egg, which was the Tianyuan continent. A small dead voice sounded in his ear, "It is ready to be suppressed." Yeming nodded, raised his palm, and pressed the light egg in vain. After a while, Tianyuan mainland shook slightly. The souls living in the Tianyuan continent feel something missing, but they can feel it in detail, but they can't feel anything. In fact, God's will has been suppressed by Yeming, and the Tianyuan continent at this time is a continent without God's will. Xiao Si immediately seized the time. The roots of the immortal tree expanded wildly, penetrated deeply into the ground, and spread across the entire Tianyuan continent. In just 1 hour, the entire Tianyuan continent has been controlled by the immortal tree. Well, at the core of the Tianyuan continent, there is actually a huge Tianyuan bead. Very good, as long as Tianyuan beads are refined, it will be easier to control the will of heaven. However, she exclaimed again the next moment. There are other big worlds folded inside the core. Xiao Si was shocked. What's the matter? Yeming quickly felt her heart turbulence and asked quickly. The Tianyuan continent is not simple. It has 5 other big worlds folded inside. Zayadi said, "What should I do? Should we take root?" Yeming did not understand, saying, "Do these 5 worlds have anything to do with the Tianyuan continent?" "Of course there is," said Zayadi. To be precise, the 6 big worlds including the Tianyuan continent were originally one big world. However, it was folded into 6 parts and each became a big world. Yaming understood this and said, in other words, refining the Tianyuan continent is tantamount to refining the 6 worlds. Xiao Si, you can think so. But I feel that the Tianyuan continent seems to be just a small corner, and the whole big world should be a super huge existence. Yaming was overjoyed. Very good. In this way, the heritage of Tiandaemen will be deeper. Don't be happy first. After refining God's will, the 5 big worlds that have been folded will reopen and become one with the Tianyuan continent. I don't even know what kind of existence exists in those 5 big worlds. In case it's a troublesome thing. Anyway, Yaming said, you have control over the will of God, it is not difficult to suppress them, continue. Xiao died, so he continued to prepare, and after another hour or so, the entire Tianyuan continent and the other 5 big worlds had been thoroughly rooted by the immortal tree. It can be said that the current immortal tree is the Tianyuan continent, and the Tianyuan continent is the immortal tree. By the end of the 3 hours, little death had already completed for the 6 big worlds. An incredibly powerful breath rose, and the next moment, it was perfectly integrated into the immortal tree. I'm going to retreat for 3 days. Xiao Si finished, then disappeared, and the intention disappeared. Boom! Around the Tianyuan continent, an endless void suddenly appeared, and then spread out, gradually forming more land. 5 very high levels of aura flow emerged. The area of the Tianyuan continent has increased at least 1,000 times. Yaming was taken aback, feeling that this was a hit. Because he saw that these unfolding worlds are extremely rich in treasures. It can be said that there are elixir everywhere, fairy grass everywhere, countless rare birds and beasts, and spiritual springs everywhere. At the same time, he also saw many humans. However, to his surprise, despite the large population in the 5 folding worlds, their cultivation was actually weak. For example, one of the big worlds obviously has extremely high-end auras, but the strongest of them has only the cultivation of Facian and 6 realms. However, it didn't take long for Yaming to understand why. The 5 big worlds are large and crowded. Yaming estimated that the population of the 5 big worlds totaled more than 10 trillion. The population density is more than 3 times that of Tianyuan mainland. But even so, the people of the 5 big worlds still live and work in peace, and there are few wars, because their resources are too rich. Even if the population doubles again, there will be no starvation, and no war will break out. Yaming sighed, and said, born in peace, and died in sorrow. These people have never encountered difficulties and dangers, and no external invasion, resulting in everyone's inaction and inadvertent cultivation. At the same time, the 10 trillion people in the 5 expanding worlds have also experienced tremendous changes. They found that the sky was higher and the land wider. So curious people began to explore. However, the cultivation of them is too low, and the highest is only Fa Tian, so it is impossible to see the mysteries of the world at all. Yaming didn't care about them either. He was going to wait for the little death to wake up before contacting the people in the 5 big worlds. In his opinion, the best way is to urge the immortal tree, transform them all into believers, and then slowly cultivate the martial arts genius from it. During the small death retreat, the martial arts conference at Tiandaemen was still going on. Elections in all major worlds are over. The warriors attending the meeting have converged from all major worlds to the Tianyuan continent. On the side of Tiandaemen, a huge space has already been vacated, and a large array of test organs are ready. The martial arts conference can be started at any time. Of course, such a hugely expensive martial arts conference has invited many big names. For example, the 3 emperors of the 3 emperors world, the head of the legendary academy, the head of the immortal temple, and so on. In addition, many big names are uninvited and want to see the excitement. After all, a handwriting like Yaming will definitely produce extraordinary results, and they are all looking forward to it. Soon, more than 90,000 participants in the samurai list went through a portal and entered Yaming's infinite sea of gods. Then, it is the collection of various data, such as strength, physical strength, mental strength, wisdom, etc. These are all Yaming's work. The warriors appeared on the island of the infinite sea of God, and Yaming thought of it, and their qualifications, perceptions, etc. all fell into their eyes. And the next moment, there were countless waves in the sea, and a bomb hit the sea, condensing into more than 90,000 seawater warriors. These warriors, all condensed by the sea, are controlled by Yaming's godlike shape. A sea warrior, corresponding to a samurai. So the battle began. In just 1 hour, 99% of the samurai fell, and Yaming accurately estimated their overall combat effectiveness and gave them a score. Some of the remaining warriors failed to persist for a long time, and they also lost one by one. Yaming continued to evaluate. After more than an hour, more than 90,000 warriors were sent out of Wulyanghai by Yaming and reappeared in the square in front of Tiandao Gate. The next moment, above the sky, a yellow list appeared, with the names of 30,000 people clearly written on it, from beginning to end. The samurai list came out, so fast. People exclaimed. Especially the samurai who participated, immediately stared at the list, looking for their names. There are really people who are happy and worrying. Of the 90,000 people, only less than 1/3 are on the list. They yell excitedly and jump a few feet high. And more people sighed in frustration, knowing that this time it's over. Next is the martial arts list, Wuzong list, Wuzhen like, Wushan list. Yaming is fully prepared, and each time a list is produced, it will not take more than 5 hours. But even so, when the Valkyrie list was formed, it was already 3 days later. The competition of the Valkyrie list is the most fierce. They did not fight in Yaming's Infinite Sea, but a one-on-one battle. Win a game and get 2 points, draw a game and get 1 point, lose a game and get 0 points, and finally use the score to evaluate the ranking of the martial arts list. Those who fell off the list were sent back to their hometowns in batches, while the winners stayed in Tianyuan mainland to receive rewards. As Yaming expected, 99% of the people on the list eventually chose to join Tiandaemen. The reason is very simple. Tiandaemen can offer so many rewards, which shows that it is rich. If you want to make greater progress in the future, you must join Tiandaemen. What's more, they knew more or less about Yaming's martial arts, and thought that it was definitely not under Han Ziu's martial arts. That being the case, why not worship? The last is the Tiandao list. The Tiandao list is a list of Tiandaemen seeking elders from Keqing, only for those who join the Tiandaemen. In the original prediction of Yaming, this list should not be very lively in the early stage, and it may even appear cold. But his prediction was wrong. On the square, hundreds of thousands of people actually came to participate in the competition of Tiandao list. You know, the reward of the 10th place in the Tiandao list is 100 billion eternal coins. What is the concept of 100 billion eternal coins? The Gan family of war civilization has a profit of only 120 billion yuan a year. This money is enough for an idiot to practice in Changsheng 9 realms. What's more, the reward for the first place is up to 1 trillion eternal coins. In contrast, the cash of the entire Wushan temple is only over 1 trillion. Therefore, the masters of various worlds came over like crazy. The people who come here are all the power of longevity, and even a considerable part of them are supreme. Some of them have taken a few steps towards eternity. Such a strong man, Yaming has no way to test their strength, so he can only let the little dead come forward. 3 days have passed, and Little Death has completely refined the providence of Tianyuan continent, and the entire world has become part of the immortal tree. Refining God's will, Xiao's strength is already infinitely close to the power of eternal realm. She felt a movement, and a shocking pressure shrouded hundreds of thousands of people who participated in the battle for Tiandao. The pressure was getting heavier and more horrifying, and some people couldn't hold it anymore and fell to their knees. There are more and more people kneeling down, 10,000, 30,000, 50,000, 200,000. In the end, when the pressure was strong enough, only 100 people out of hundreds of thousands were still persisting. They are all eternal beings. They have taken key steps and possessed eternal breath. The pressure disappeared, and everyone kneeling down was cleared. Then, there were more than 100 people in a round battle. They also scored 2 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and 0 points for a defeat, and finally ranked by the score. Yaming was sitting at the treetop, and the game was hosted by Xiao Si himself. Beside him, Mirong Suejiao and Zhang Shui sat, and the two girls stared at the shocking test, muttering, "I can't believe it, such a powerful character was used by us immediately." Yaming was very calm, saying, "People die for money, not to mention they don't have to die, they just fight a fight and then die for us. Zhang Shui, they are really amazing. They are worthy of being born." The battle stopped watching, and said, "I'm taking disciples, can you go?" Mirong Suejiao asked, "Where do you collect it?" Yaming, number 1 in the samurai list and number 3 in the Wushan list. As for the top 10 in the Wushan list, it will become the elder of Tiandaemen. Mirong Suejiao couldn't help but said, "Why only accept the list of warriors and martial arts? Why not accept the list of warriors, martial arts, and martial arts?" Yaming laughed, "The samurai list is based on the foundation. This level can best see a person's qualifications, the martial arts list is the key to advance to martial arts, and you can also see a person's future. As for the middle lists, etc. after they became martial saints, I did not accept disciples again. I can't help but feel itchy. Such a talented disciple will certainly not disappoint." The first thing Yaming wanted to see was the number 1 in the samurai list. This is a teenager, only 13 years old, named Li Tianhu. His final score was 30 points higher than the second place, and he achieved a record of victory. In contrast, the second place has lost more than 10 times, and it is only 2 points away from the third place. Li Tianhu's eyes were bright and he did not show timidness when he saw Yaming. He knelt down and said loudly, "Li Tianhu, villain, see the head." Yaming felt that the boy was very imposing, and nodded with satisfaction, and asked, "Li Tianhu, I heard that you are willing to join my Tiandaemen." Li Tianhu nodded vigorously, "Yes. The young man was born in Wudao civilization. When I was young, my parents died to feed me and became hungry. After I grew up, there was no relatives around me. I worked very hard and practiced hard. Desperately making money, but still not being valued. Where I am, the gatekeeper and the family control all resources, I am not a pariah." Yaming, "Did no one find your qualifications?" Li Tianhu nodded, "Yes, and there is more than one. But they asked me to be naturalized as a slave, and I did not agree." Yaming frowned, "Slaves? Because of this, they gave up on you." "It's not about giving up, but it's waiting for me to change my mind." Li Tianhu sneered. Fortunately, the martial arts meeting is set up in the Heavenly Gate. This is a blessing for the martial arts in the world. Naturally, the villain must desperately come. Yaming laughed, "Yes, your willpower is very strong. I ask you, would you like to worship me as a teacher?" Li Tianhu's tong 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 are 3 sounds, saying, "Master is on top, please worship the disciples. Get up." Yaming was very happy. "You are weak, you will be the youngest apprentice." Then came in the top 3 of Wu Shengbang. All 3 are young people, 2 men and 1 woman. 2 young men, a fat man and a thin man, were 2 meters tall and thin, and were lean, with only about 17 or 77 heads. The young women are average in appearance, but calm. The woman's name was Sun Hongguo, and Wu Shengbang ranked first. The fat man was named Yan Zhenbiao, and Wu Shengbang was second. The thin man's name is Zhou Hui, and Wu Shengbang is third. Seeing these 3 people, Yaming was very satisfied. Their qualifications were not worse than those of Tang Yuansheng, and they were even slightly better. These 3 people also have winks, and worship when they meet. Yaming asked if they were willing to worship the teacher, and the 3 called master on the spot. According to Xiuguo, Sun Hongguo was Yaming's 9th disciple, Yan Zhenbiao was 10th, Zhou Hui was 11th, and Li Tianhu was the 12th disciple. As soon as the worship here ended, Tang Yuansheng, Bai Yuanxian, Su Yuanzhen, Pan Yuanlong, and Wu Yuanji actually appeared and worshipped. The five had retired together to practice Yaming's Valkyrie, and now they are finally out of customs. Yaming looked intently. The five of them actually arrived at the second realm of martial arts and practiced God. In the martial arts realm, there are 6 realms of mastery: refining the gods, such as the law, killing the gods, unable, and the mysterious gate. They can reach the second level in such a short time. These 5 people are indeed geniuses. At first glance, several seniors arrived, and Sun Hongguo hurried to meet him. Tang Yuansheng was also pleased to see the master receive the new apprentice, and he took out a meeting ceremony and distributed it to 4 people. Yaming laughed. Yes, breakthrough is not slow. Tang Yuansheng, Master, we came out as soon as we made a breakthrough. We came out to know that so many things happened outside. Yaming nodded. Tiandao list is still going on, you all go and see. The Tiandao list has been going on for more than half a month before finally appearing on the list. There are only 10 people on the list, and their strengths are very scary. The first of them is already 9-step supreme, and only 1 step ahead can prove the Lord God. Of course, the last kick is also the most difficult. Even the 10th ranked one is a 6-step supreme, terrifying strength. Finally, the martial arts conference ended successfully. The vast majority of people on the list joined Tiandaemin. Of course, a few people chose to leave. Yaming has seen 10 Tiandao strong men. They will all be the elders of Tiankingmen. These 10 people came from different civilizations and different continents. Of the 100 people on the Wushan list, 98 joined Tiandaemin. What surprised Yaming was that of the 98 people, there were actually 34 martial artists who had entered the martial arts temple. In other words, they abandoned the temple and chose the heavenly gate. At the end of the martial arts conference, Yaming was relieved. He brought a group of disciples and officially moved into the 5 Elements continent, where he set up a school to confront the Wu Shrine. The purpose of building a list and attracting the strong is to expand the heavens and gates in the final analysis. After all, Tiandaemin has no background. Unlike the Wushan temple, it has a long history and a wealth of talents. Because of the shortcomings found, Yaming had to use money to make up for the shortcomings. Fortunately, he is not short of money now. Hundreds of trillions of eternal coins are enough to make him worse for a while. The Tiandao Gate now has a real foundation, and apart from that, the 10 supreme masters on the Tiandao list alone, who dares to come to offend. Not to mention, the guards of the immortal tree are increasing, and the city of war is getting stronger and stronger. To be domineering, if Yaming is willing, he can smash the Wushan temple in minutes. Of course, the list of warriors and so on are all for people to see. A large number of people who did not appear on the list also joined Tiandaemin. Although their qualifications are less than the above list, they are also valuable. As long as they are trained a little, they can do something to become a strong player. Tiandaemin was born, the Wushan temple was silent all of a sudden, and there was no conflict between the 2 sides. However, Yaming faintly felt a bad feeling, like a stone pressed to the bottom of his heart, which disturbed him. Everything in the door was handled by his disciples, and he occasionally taught 4 newly introduced disciples. More often, he was seeking to break through the 5th realm of magic and martial arts, unable to reach the realm. The impossibility is a martial arts obstacle created by the warrior's heart. It feels that what he can rely on before suddenly becomes meaningless. Whether it is the inheritance of other civilizations or the martial arts of other warriors, it has become an obstacle in the warrior's heart. Yaming today, any civilization, exercises, martial arts, magical powers, in his eyes are not as good as shit. He has a feeling of Lao Tzu world first, others are garbage, and this feeling is still expanding. In his heart, only his own Tao and his martial arts are the most powerful and worthy to be spread. Every day Yaming felt his mind was moving in a direction of arrogance, but he was not panicked and uncomfortable, because this is the characteristics of the 5 realms of martial arts, which could not be relied on, could not be followed, but I was the only one who was strong way. And when this arrogance reaches a certain extreme, he will encounter a door that prevents him from entering a more powerful field. Knowing his own state of mind, Yaming simply did not go out, staying at home every day to practice his exercises and martial arts. It can be said that the 5 martial arts realms are the most productive in the entire martial arts stage in terms of creative exercises and martial arts, accounting for more than 60%. In the early stages of the impossibility, Yaming gradually forgot the exercises and martial arts he had learned, what killing steps, dragon elephants, gossip swords, Dazhu Tianjian, and Sword of God, all gradually disappeared from his memory, or were dismantled. Already, everything he didn't think was right for him was abandoned, leaving only what he thought was useful. A month passed, Yaming's mind almost became empty, and the rest were all his own martial arts and exercises, such as Shi Fang Shenlian sword, such as Eternal Strike. But he was still dissatisfied and began to deny his former self, so he further improved all the exercises and martial arts and calculated. By the second month, he had even abandoned the profound skills like Tianjianju, and even felt that there was a flaw in the great eternal immortal skill. Yaming at this time became very paranoid and narrow. At this time, he was already unable to face his state, and thought it should be so. Chaos calculations are running frantically. All the exercises and martial arts created are reorganized, and some even discard them directly. But he was still not satisfied, and felt that the previous framework limited his use, so he began to create his own exercises. His consciousness is running madly, and his strength and wisdom are not what they used to be. It is not impossible to create the ancient and modern techniques. However, when he really thought about it, he inherited the ancestors' inheritance in the immortal temple and the immortal space at that time, but it was continuously released. When he accepted the ancestral heritage, he had just entered the martial arts stage. Nowadays, he is a strong man in the late period of Valkyrie, and naturally cannot be the same. Maybe it was inspired by his will, the inheritance of the ancestral thoughts left to him, and he was liberated for a little while. A huge amount of information burst out at once, filling his brain instantly, making him dizzy and utterly dizzy. Thinking. This is the memory of the ancestors. He muttered to himself, not too happy and not too surprised. The memory of the ancestors released this time is as vast as a starry sky, and even for a moment, he couldn't fully accept it. He was suddenly lost again. With so many ancestral memories, is he still necessary to continue to create? Even if it is created, can it be compared with the ancestral heritage? The situation is impossible, it is said to be lawless. He just hesitated a little bit, his inner obsession revived, and he opened his eyes and shouted, "Is my skill not as good as my ancestors? I believe it." He casually found an amazing magical power from the released ancestral heritage, and killed the Rubik's Cube. This supernatural power is so powerful that it is extremely difficult to even enlighten, let alone practice and surpass. But at this time, Yaming did not believe in evil. Like a madman, he repaired this supernatural power in a few days, and then sought to crack it. Fighting Rubik's Cube involves the laws of space. This superpower can cut space into countless small squares, and then rotate them. Each rotation arrangement will cause a terrible turbulence in space, forming a strangling force. Under this power, even the Lord God is physically damaged. After Yaming practiced this magical power, he created a cracked magical power called Xiao Mo Yi upside down. This magical power can also be used to control the space force and the space law in the opposite direction, so as to offset and crack it. It took only 9 days for Yaming to crack this supernatural power. This doesn't count, he continues to create magical powers, trying to drive away the Rubik's Cube in power. As a result, Yaming pondered for half a month and created a more terrifying magical power called the Mill of Space. After this magical power is displayed, 2 tightly connected space vortices are formed in the space and flow at high speed in the opposite direction. It creates a strong suction, everything into it, then grinds it into space particles, and dies completely. In terms of power, this magical power is not under the Rubik's Cube, and it covers a wider area and its limits are more powerful. In theory, it can even form a black hole in space, everything into it, and then wear it off. It can be said that his supernatural power has reached the level of taboo supernatural power. Once cast, he may not be able to control it. In this way, Ye Ming continued to cultivate, day after day, year after year. He continued to practice the inheritance of the ancestors, and then broke through and surpassed, and then cultivated, broke through, and exceeded. What he learned is getting harder and longer. At the same time, he has more and more terrible means. In this way, 3 years passed in a flash. Outside matters, he is completely left to other people and uncles. As a deity, the retreat is 3 years. For 3 years, it is not short or long, but Ye Ming is beginning to despair. Because he found that the higher level ancestors inherited it, he even had difficulty understanding. Am I really inferior to the ancestor? He mumbled to himself, gradually getting discouraged, and his self-confidence became less powerful. At this moment, he not only doubted the ancestors, but also began to doubt himself. This is the impossible state. Impossibility is a perplexed pass. This pass will direct Ye Ming in 3 directions. In the first direction, he will become arrogant, self-centered, and Lao Tzu is the first in the world. This direction is close to the magic road. Although he may become the power of the uncle, he cannot really set foot on the top of the strong. In the second direction, he would deny himself, and then be discouraged, confused, and sad, lose his courage, and become indifferent. The best is the third direction. He will recognize himself from arrogance, see the avenue, understand his shortcomings and advantages, and know where to go next. It is clear that Ye Ming is at this juncture and is about to enter one of 3 directions. Suddenly, the ring around his waist shook. This ring was given to him by the old Huang of the legendary academy. It contained trillions of eternal coins. At this moment, a ring of light was emitted from the ring, showing the cold face of Lao Huang. Thinking about something, do you think you are great? He sneered, scolding Ye Ming. Ye Ming looked at him wistfully and said, I'm not that great, but that others are too bad. It's a conceited idiot. Then I ask you, what are you compared to me? Lao Huang asked. Ye Ming stunned, you are not a human, an ancient beast, there is no comparability. Lao Huang sneered, I want you to say that your people are all rubbish, and you are even in the rubbish. It is not even a fart like Lao Tzu, a fierce spirit born in the chaotic primary division. Ye Ming angered, dare you look down on me? Yes, you are not even fart, Lao Tzu's fart can kill you. Lao Huang ha laughed. Ye Ming clenched his fists, and then slowly relaxed. He sighed, and said, yeah, how can a human race be compared with the ancient beasts? Just like sheep and tigers, sheep can't fight tigers even if they are strong. Fart. The ancestors used their own strength, atmosphere, time, and space to ignite civilization and fire, making mankind one of the great races. He even killed the true gods, suppressed the ancient gods of chaos, and made troubles in the temple. Denying the human race is not denying the ancestors? Ye Ming was surprised again, saying, yes, the ancestors are really great. Farting again. Didn't you think that the ancestor was nothing before? You think he is just like this, can you definitely surpass it? Lao Huang asked, are you really confident or are you delusional? Ye Ming was confused at a glance, was he confident or arrogant? Is it right or wrong? At the moment of the electric light fire, he was awake somehow, and deeply worshipped the old Huang projection, thank you for your help. Lao Huang Lengheng said, I won't click on it, you can see it in 100 years. But 100 years is too long, I can't wait. Then he disappeared. Ye Ming smiled slightly, a portal suddenly appeared in his infinite sea of gods. The portal is mysterious, and mysterious. It is very magnificent and emits immense light. It seems to connect another magical world. This is the mysterious gate of the 6 realms of martial arts. What is Xian Gate? It is the entrance to the human body's treasure. Once you break through it, you can see through the eternal meaning of longevity and ask the duality of the martial arts. As soon as the door came out, Yaming was transparent. As long as he opened the door, he immediately entered the Wushan duality, which is equivalent to the power of longevity. The monks in the longevity are called the powerful ones. They can move mountains and seas, move stars and moons, and walk away from all walks of life. But he was not in a hurry to make a breakthrough, and the memory of human ancestors was released in large quantities. As for the next breakthrough, that is a natural thing, and he does not need to do it deliberately. Yaming stretched his waist and walked out of the practice room with a smile. As soon as people came out, they found that there were guards of immortal trees everywhere in the sky. It turned out that the 80,000 sword-level guards and the 3 million sword-level guards he had requested were all manufactured. These guards haunt the big worlds where the immortal tree is located. Whenever a believer wants something, he must be sincere and spiritual. The strength of the great sword master is equivalent to Changsheng 8 realms, while the strength of the sword sovereign is equivalent to Changsheng 6 realms, both of which have strong combat power. What's more, these guards can form a perfect array, and their power is even higher. A small death appeared, and she looked at Yaming and said, "Congratulations for a breakthrough." "Yaming, this retreat is 3 years. How is it outside?" "Everything is the same. Specifically, you can ask them." After finishing the small death, Yan Ruyu, Mirong Suejiao, and Zhang Shui, the 3 daughters, came. Seeing Yaming out of the gate, the 3 women were very happy. Yan Ruyu smiled, "Brother Ming, you can figure it out." Yaming nodded, "In the past few years, you have worked hard." Then he couldn't wait to ask, "Is everything in the heavenly gate normal? Is there any action in the Wushan temple?" "Yan Ruyu, the Wushan temple has nothing to do with us. We have a fast-growing Tiandaemen, a large world where the immortal tree takes root. Many people believe in us, and many people have joined Tiandaemen as disciples. For 3 years, our fame of Tiandaemen, skyrocketing, like the sun and the sky, have far surpassed the Wushan temple. How is business?" he asked again. Yan Ruyu is almost equivalent to the general manager. The situation on the side of Yu Xianxian, Luo Bingxian, Zhang Heng, etc. must be summarized on her side, so she knows the overall situation well. As Tiandaemen became more and more prestigious, the pharmacy business became bigger and bigger, and the size of the refining plant has almost doubled. In the past 3 years, the pharmacy alone accounted for 50 trillion eternal coins. In addition, the cooperation with the civilization of war was officially launched. Through the sale of war tools, more than 1 trillion has been registered. In the past few years, the elixir business is also good, and the income has been close to 3 trillion. In addition to other small businesses, Tiandaemen has earned 3 years. 55 trillion yuan holds 0. Yaming was very satisfied and said, 55 trillion yuan is enough, at least it can support the expenses of Tiandaemen. Yan Ruyu smiled bitterly, "Support? The investment on the list alone is 12 trillion yuan a year. The normal martial arts soul of Tiandaemen is about 3 trillion yuan a year. Count the consumption of the immortal tree from time to time, count on other miscellaneous items, we consume more than 2 trillion yuan a year." Yaming was startled, "So 3 years is 60 trillion, and 55 trillion is really not enough." "Yan Ruyu, this hasn't accounted for some costs, such as our investment in cooperation with war civilization, the investment in building a refining plant, etc. If you add these, the annual cost will be greater." Yaming nodded, "Sit down and eat in the mountains like this for a while. My money will not last for a few years. It seems my plan is about to be implemented." Yan Ruyu's eyes brightened, "What does Minga mean?" "Yaming, I used to start a business with a money bank, but it was all a small mess. After all, Tianyuan's mainland has a limited market and can't make a lot of money. But now it's different. Our Tiandaemen's power radiates many big worlds. As long as a few large forces are brought in to endorse credit, this business will soon start." Zhang Shui understood Yaming's thoughts and said, "The legendary school plus the 3 emperors world must be enough." Yaming nodded, "That's right. But in my vision, the 3 emperors world and the Legend Academy are only the first level shareholders. First-level shareholders? What do you mean? Mirong Swejiao didn't understand. Yaming laughed. In the past, when we were doing business, the market was limited to the Tianyuan continent. Now it is different. We are facing big worlds. Each big world has different customs and environments. If we want to hold everything in our hands, management is a big problem. So I suggest that in each big world, choose a force as a partner, and everyone makes money together. Once something goes wrong in that big world, our partners are also easy to solve. These cooperations from different big worlds I call second-tier shareholders, and they only have the operations to manage their own big world. As soon as the three women's eyes brightened, they all agreed. Yaming continued, if a large world has several different forces, we can also set up 3-tier shareholders, or even 4-tier shareholders. In short, we have 3 business principles: one is to adapt to local conditions, the other is to have all interests, the third is to make money with harmony. After chatting with the 3 women, Yaming called Shang Yunfen and went to the legendary school together. In the legendary hall, Yaming and Yunfen met Master Tang Yuexian. The latter smiled well and was in a good mood, asking, "You haven't shown up for a few years. What's the matter at this moment?" Yaming laughed, "We know that Master has been retreating for several years, so I didn't dare to disturb. This time, one is to meet with Master and congratulate him on his improvement. The second is to have a chance to make money, share with the legendary school." Tang Yuexian's cultivation has indeed improved. She smiled slightly and said, "My mouth is sweet. Let's talk, what are the opportunities to make money?" Yaming then explained the idea of Qianzhuang. He had run to Qianzhuang and also learned a lot of valuable economic knowledge from his hometown. Therefore, Tang Yuexian was very moved. Tang Yuexian was silent for a long time and asked, "Yaming, I ask 3 questions." Yaming quickly said, "Master, please speak. First, how much money does the legendary institution need to invest to establish this money house?" Yaming said, "The idea of the disciples is to open a bank of money in 100 big worlds at the same time. In this way, the population we cover will approach or even exceed 100 trillion people, and the profit space is huge. Because of this, our investment is also very large. Yes, at least 300 to 4 trillion yuan of eternal coins will be invested in the early stage." Tang Yuexian, second question, how many % can the legendary school hold? Yaming, legendary schools can take 30% of the shares. Tang Yuexian, that is to say, we have to invest trillions of eternal coins, which is not a small amount. Yaming, after 3 years, it should be profitable. Within 10 years, we should be able to return to it. Tang Yuexian asked in surprise, "So earn money?" Yaming nodded, "With a population of 100 trillion, annual profits of tens of trillions are not difficult. The most important thing is that once our bank has formed a scale and influence, it will be able to revitalize the markets of 100 worlds and allow economic activities. More prosperity, more profits, and value. The more economic activities, the better our business. So my disciples dare to assert that in 10 years, our annual profit will exceed 1 trillion yuan of eternal coins." Tang Yuexian was very satisfied and said, "Third question, who manages your bank and who are our partners?" Yaming, there is a specialization in the surgery industry, and the money is managed by the disciples and those around them. Our other partner is the 3 emperors world. Of course, if possible, we also welcome those who can open up the market. Tang Yuexian nodded, 3 emperor worlds can naturally. As you said, there are thousands of worlds inhabited by human beings. If our money house can spread through the world of human race, profits will increase tenfold. If anyone can open up outside big world markets can indeed consider cooperation." Having said that, Tang Yuexian said, "Maybe that person will come to you." "Yamingji, who is Master talking about?" "God of Wealth." Tang Yuexian said, "Number 8 stranger on the humanitarian list, no one knows his true identity, he is called God of Wealth." Yaming also heard of the humanitarian list, and asked, "Master, what is the strength of the people on the humanitarian list?" Tang Yuexian, the people on the humanitarian list are not purely based on the strength of heroes, but also have influence and contribution to humanity. Of course, their strength is certainly not bad. For example, Master, his old man ranked 5th on the humanitarian list. Ye Ming was startled. Is the Master ranked 5th? That is natural, because the first is the ancestor, and the second, third, and fourth are the first 3 emperors. Like the only emperor, even the top 10 cannot be included. Tang Yuxian said. What about Han Zhuyan? He is also eternal power now, how many can he rank? He asked. Tang Yuxian, Han Zhuyan guards many big worlds with a mixed Yuan gang cover, the credit is not small, presumably 100 years later, you can enter the top 20. Ye Ming was shocked, so, aren't the top 10s of people all powerful in eternity? Tang Yuxian smiled slightly, naturally, otherwise my people would have been destroyed. Will it be as prosperous as today? Ye Ming, I hope that you will one day be on the humanitarian list. The 100 people on the humanitarian list are all the eternal giant, the lord of the people. Ye Ming nodded, the disciples will definitely work hard. King Zhuang's affairs, the teacher can promise. I will send someone to discuss with you later. Tang Yuxian promised happily. Ye Ming's second trip was the 3 emperors' world. To his delight, the emperor has already passed the customs. When he saw the emperor, he felt that his temperament was very different from before. He was pleased and asked, is the father the emperor already 9 steps? This kind of breath, he sensed from the person on the top of the heavenly list, this is the breath of the supreme eternal life. The emperor saw Ye Ming and was also happy, and laughed, thanks to the gifts you have given me, you will have a great harvest for your father. It is only 1 layer away from the eternal realm. Unfortunately, this film is too strong, and I am short. There is no hope of breakthrough in time. Ye Ming laughed, it's already great, Father Emperor will succeed. After the greeting, Ye Ming said the purpose. The emperor said, since making money, the 3 emperors' world is naturally willing to participate. However, this money is really too much. It is necessary to discuss with the emperor and the emperor, and it will take some time to prepare. Ye Ming, anyway, we can wait. The 3 emperors met to discuss and soon reached a conclusion. The next day, the emperor announced to Ye Ming that the 3 emperors' world could buy shares and only accounted for 20% of the shares. Ye Ming is very satisfied. The remaining 50% of the shares, he is fully capable of swallowing it alone, so it is not a problem for him to have more shareholders join in the future. After getting the fat from the legendary academies and the 3 emperors' world, the next thing Ye Ming will do is to set up money houses in various worlds. The first step is to root the roots of the immortal tree into all the big worlds. Originally he would be opposed to this, but now with the backing of the legendary school and the 3 emperors' world, few people dare to oppose it. Even if there is, Ye Ming can easily level it, after all, his strength is there. The second step is to send agents to the major worlds to approach the strongest local forces and discuss cooperation issues. The third step, naturally, is to open a bank and formally open a business. 100 worlds require a lot of business and management talents. The people around Ye Ming are not enough, so the legendary academies and the 3 emperors' world have sent a lot of staff to listen to Ye Ming's dispatch. Soon after, the legendary academy transferred 90 trillion eternal coins, and the 3 emperors' world transferred 60 trillion. These are just initial investments. The remaining 150 trillion yuan will be invested by Ye Ming himself. However, at present, he does not have so much money at all, and all the money adds up to only 1 trillion yuan, which is 50 trillion yuan. Fortunately, the investment is gradual and he has time to prepare or wait for other investors to come. When Ye Ming used this matter to continue to expand the site of the undead tree, guests came. The other party was invited to the main hall of Tiandaemen. The woman who came was a beautiful woman with a smile on her face. Seeing Ye Ming, she worshipped Yingying, Gu Yuyu, a messenger of wealth under the god of wealth, has seen the master of heaven. Ye Ming was taken aback, god of wealth. It seems Tang Yuxian's judgment is very accurate, and the other party really has to intervene. He remained calm and said lightly, "It turned out to be the messenger of the god of wealth." "Don't dare." Li Yuyu laughed. The god of wealth said that Ye Menzi was an inexperienced genius and his future achievements are unlimited. After hearing the news that Ye Menzi wanted to build a money house, god of wealth sent a messenger to communicate, hoping to participation. "Ye Ming, I am very honored to be able to trust the god of wealth so much. Unfortunately, our bank has shareholders, namely the Legendary Academy and the Three Emperors World." Li Yuyu laughed, "But as far as I know, Yemen seems to have a 50% stake in his hands. I wonder if I can cut love." Ye Ming shook his head, "Sorry. I have the ability to eat these 50% shares. I don't need others to participate." Li Yuyu still did not give up, saying, "We know that the initial investment is at least 3 trillion yuan of eternal coins. If Yemen's owner agrees, we can properly make additional investments to compensate Yemen's losses." When Ye Ming moved, he refused and waited for this result. He knew in his heart that Wuchen had too many shares. This piece of meat was too fat and he would choke if he ate it. However, as a latecomer, the god of wealth could not get the same treatment as the Legendary Academies and the Three Emperors World. How could he vomit some blood? "Oh? I don't know what the compensation is," he asked calmly. Li Yuyu knew that there was a play, and laughed. "Before I came, the god of wealth said that this was a big business that made money, and others were not cute and let us join. It would be better, we are willing to double the price and buy 20% of the shares." Ye Ming looked impassioned and said, "There is something to let the messenger know that after the bank is built, it will pay back in 10 years, after 10 years, the annual profit will exceed 1 trillion yuan of eternal coins. The Three Emperors World and the Legend School are the original shareholders of Qian Zhuang. The god of wealth is a latecomer and an outsider." Li Yuyu frowned, "What does Yemen Lord mean?" Ye Ming said lightly, "My meaning is very simple. If the god of wealth wants to buy shares, he must first understand the value of the money bank." "Then Yemen, how much is this money?" Li Yuyu asked, seemingly curious. Ye Ming said, "If we talk about the value of a bank, it should be considered from two aspects. One is the current profitability of the bank, the other is the future expansion of the bank's profitability. Right now, the bank's profitability is not a concern. I said that at the current scale, we can recoup the capital within 10 years, after 10 years, we can earn more than 1 trillion yuan of eternal coins per year. As for the future, 20 years later, our money bank will be opened in more big worlds. Profitability will be further enhanced." "Li Yuyu, how much does Yemen think the money is worth?" Ye Ming laughed, "Conservatively speaking, the value of the bank should be the profitability of the next 30 to 50 years. However, I will use it for 30 years. In the previous 10 years, the profit exceeded 150 trillion yuan, in the second decade, it can earn at least 350 trillion yuan, in the third decade, the profit is less than 1 trillion yuan of eternal coins. Therefore, I think the value of the bank should be at least 15 million billion eternal coins." Li Yuyu frowned, "Qian Zhuang has not yet been established, Yemen's estimate is too whimsical, right?" Ye Ming said indifferently, "Well, I would like to do business. If your messenger feels worthless, then we cannot cooperate. Confucianism, immortalism, Buddhism, and even war civilization are interested in joining." Li Yuyu was a bit annoyed. According to Ye Ming's algorithm, 20% of the shares would invest 3 trillion yuan of eternal coins, 4 times more than the original estimate. This number has already exceeded the upper limit given by the god of wealth, and he cannot accept it. However, he had to take down the business again. Suddenly his condition calmed down again, and said, "Does Yemen know the god of wealth?" Ye Ming immediately admired his face and said, "The god of wealth is the top 10 sage in the humanitarian rankings. I naturally know that I have great respect. Now that you know the status and prestige of god of wealth, then Yemenzu should understand the benefits of cooperating with god of wealth. We have many management talents and broad business channels. With these help, your money bank can grow faster." Li Yuyu said, "Otherwise, the bank may not be able to do it." This last sentence is somewhat threatening. Yaming eats soft but not hard, and said lightly, at least in this 100 big worlds, I am confident that I can do the best. Li Yuyu sighed, it seems that cooperation between us is impossible. If you can accept this price, you can still cooperate. I use 30 years of profit instead of 50 years of profit, which is already a great concession for the god of wealth. Yaming said, if your salary is not worth it, then unfortunately, I can only drop off passengers. How could Li Yuyu give up? She turned her eyes and said, this price is not unacceptable. But we heard that the doorkeeper is still running the elixir business, and the annual income is high. Yaming thought that the investigation by the other party was really clear. He even knew about the pharmacy. He said lightly, what is it? Li Yuyu, if Yemen is willing to wholesale elixir to us at a preferential price, the previous price is not unacceptable. Yaming narrowed his eyes. The scale of the refining plant is still expanding. In the future, the annual profit will exceed 20 trillion yuan. This business is no smaller than Qianzhuang. However, the other party is not a shareholder, and just wants to wholesale the elixir at a favorable price, which is acceptable. Of course you can. However, the elixir we produce are of the best quality, and the production is limited, and the price is not cheap, he said deliberately. Li Yuyu, our requirements are very simple. We buy at half the price on the market. I wonder if Yemen can agree. Yaming frowned, half the price? In case you sell at this low price, wouldn't I lose a lot? How could it be? Li Yuyu laughed. We don't care about any big world where Yemenzu is doing business. Is it so good? Yaming was still not assured, saying, if your envoy agrees to another condition, we can talk. Oh? What conditions? Yaming, if our elixir is sold to your site in the future, both parties must unify the sales price to avoid vicious competition. Li Yuyu laughed, of course, and we welcome colleagues. After all, people have thousands of big worlds, some more and less, not much. Yaming nodded, okay, that's it. In fact, even if it was wholesaled at the price of £5, he was still profitable. Once the demand from the god of wealth rises, the profit on wholesale will soon exceed the profit generated by the self-employment, and it will be several times over. In this way, Yaming and Li Yuyu reached an agreement, and the other party invested 3 trillion yuan of eternal coins to buy 20% of Qianzhuang's shares. As a condition, Yaming must wholesale the elixir to the other party at half the market price. This is a situation of mutual benefit. Yaming not only received a large amount of investment, but also expanded the business of Dan medicine by the way, increasing income. On the other hand, the god of wealth also makes money. Yaming occupies the world of medicine. His refined elixir has the lowest cost and the best effect. Of course, there is a market. Even the money invested in the bank is profitable. The cost can be recovered in at least 2 or 3 decades, and in the future it will be a business with no money. After the negotiation, Li Yuyu stayed and dealt with the next things with Yaming. One after another, many of Li Yuyu's subordinates arrived to assist her in doing things. Naturally, the 3 trillion yuan of eternal coins also entered Yaming's pocket. In this way, after deducting the 90 trillion he is about to invest, there is a surplus of 210 trillion. Next, Yaming plans to take the first step to take root in the rest of the world. Thanks to the joining of the god of wealth, his fame made it very smooth. Occasionally some forces blocked it, but once they heard that it was related to the god of wealth, they immediately succumbed to it. The reason for the immortal tree to take root in all major worlds is to expand the territory of the tree and increase believers. The second is to use the power of the tree to defend the money bank. The main thing is that the bank itself is a convenient and efficient transmission array that can transport goods and people. However, the expansion of the immortal tree also requires cost, because in order to take root in different big worlds, it must overcome space forces and engraving large arrays in the void. Therefore, every time you take root in a big world, you have to wait for an additional avatar. This requires energy. Xiao Si told Yaming that every time a big world takes root, the proprietress consumes 1 or 2 trillion yuan of eternal coins. In this way, when all the 100 worlds had traces of the immortal tree, Yeming had already spent 106 trillion eternal coins for this purpose. With the undead tree occupying hundreds of great worlds, its power is even more extraordinary. Little Death told Yeming that due to the growth of the immortal tree, it is now possible to conceive a higher level tree guard. A stronger guard than the Great Sword Master is called the Undead Guard. The Undead Guard is the highest guard, divided into 3 levels. The first class Immortal Guard has a strength of about 9 lives. At present, the Immortal Tree can create a first level Immortal Guard, and currently can create up to 10,000. And, with the advent of the Undead, the maximum number of swordsmen and swordsmen also increased, from the original 80,000 and 3 million, respectively, to 300,000 and 8 million. For each level of Undead Guard created, 400 million eternal coins are consumed, which is far more than the price of Changsheng 9 realms. Therefore, Yeming did not hesitate to let Xiao Shen make up the number of Great Sword Master and Sword Master to 300,000 and 8 million, plus 10,000 first-level Undead Guards. For this item alone, he will take out 20 trillion eternal coins in one breath. In this way, Yeming has only 130 trillion yuan of money left. I do not know if the money bank will need additional investment in the later period. He immediately felt his hands tightened. However, with money to do things, the construction of the bank was extremely fast, and the leaders of each big world began to negotiate with local forces. The matter was on the right track, but Yeming did not participate very much. Let Zhang Heng and Shi Yufei all do it. On this day, Qian Zhuang just won several partners in the big world. Yeming received the news of the Immortal Temple, hoping that he could go. The identity of the false heir to the Immortal Temple is actually irrelevant to Yeming. But since it had been promised, he had to complete it, so he still went on time. 3 Emperor's World, Immortal Temple. When Yeming appeared, he found that the pale-faced palace statue was Hemoptysis. He took a look and saw that the vitality of the other party was almost exhausted, and he was startled. He asked, Dunzun, what's wrong with you? Dianzun waved his hand and said, I have been conspired, and my life will soon die. Yeming's scalp was numb. For a long time, that force has been secretly calculating the heirs of the Immortal Temple. No. If they are going to shoot at Dianzun, why do they have to wait until today? Yeming said. Dianzun sighed, at this time, another time, at that time Han Juyan was not the main god, and the mixed Yuan gang cover did not appear. The main thing is that they should identify you as the true heir. In recent years, what you have done, what you do, you see it as a teacher. I have to admit that your potential is above your brother. Yeming, a few years ago, I was already the most supreme body. Yeah, that's why I say you have a bright future. I regret it a little bit and shouldn't expose you. Dianzun smiled bitterly. Yeming, there is nothing right or wrong, my brother grows up well in the dark and may not be able to do anything. And my safety, the deity does not need to worry, I have a way to protect myself. Yeah, your means, style, is not as good as me. This is probably why they shot me. Dianzun smiled bitterly. Who is it? Yeming frowned. Why do they have to be against our Immortal Temple? Dianzhuang blew his mouth again and said, I only know now that the people who have been plotting my Immortal Temple belong to the killing institution of the court, Tiantu. Heavenly Slaughter? Yeming busy asked, Tiantu belongs to the Divine Court, why should the Divine Court target our temple? It's very simple. Our temple has an ancestral heritage. They are worried that another ancestor will come out of the temple. With this, the temple looked at Yeming with relief. I can feel that you have gained many of the ancestors. Inheritance, it's amazing, my temple inheritance is hopeful. Dianzun's injury can't really be cured. Yeming said, Dianzun, rest assured, as long as it can be cured, no matter how much it costs, I will heal you. Dianzun shook his head, there is no longer a chance. Heaven Massacre used the ancient secret spell to kill my body and obliterate my life. No one can save me unless the ancestors return to earth. Yeming sighed, wondering how to comfort him. Dianzun, I will die soon. Yeming, you are the next Dianzun, you know. Yaming Yi, I'm Dianzun? What about the brother? Dianzun sighed, he is now closed to life and death and can't come out. I will tell his true identity. You take my token to see him and let him assist you and continue my inheritance of the Temple of Immortality. Yaming was silent for a moment, and said, Dear Lord, let this brother inherit it. I'm afraid I can't devote all my energy to the temple. If the brother does it, I can assist him instead. Dianzun smiled and said, Okay, this is your choice. I don't object. Yaming, Dunzun, who is he, brother? The palace respected slowly, saying, Your brother is the only talented disciple who teaches, and the youngest son of the grandson Sun Daizai. Yaming was surprised, the only religion? It's the true religion, the Nebula religion, both are puppets supported by the Protoss. How could a brother be in that place? Dianzun waved his hand, Your brother has big ambitions and a heart of benevolence. When he was young, he wanted to leave the only teaching. Later, when I met me, I accepted him as an apprentice and taught him the highest practice. Yaming thought for a moment, and said, Does Dianzun want to subvert the only religion through his brother? Dianzun nodded, Your brother Tianzong Zi and the favor of Sun Daizai, he will be able to become the master of the future. In fact, your brother has now mastered the teaching power, is the second figure in teaching. What did Yaming suddenly think of? Is there a relationship between this only religion and that only emperor? Temple, nature has a relationship, and the only place of worship for deities is the only emperor. Yaming was taken aback, so, the only emperor who should be a human sinner is, but why did he even create a path to God? Dianzun, it's a long story, the only one who worships is the only great God, and the only emperor on the road to becoming a god. The two are one and the same. They belong to the same person. The two have different strengths and different personalities. Drop each other, devour each other's energy, and strengthen yourself. Yaming was strange now, the only emperor and the only great belong to the same person? Why is it divided into two? When the one great God was not bought by the Protoss, he created the one religion, with many believers and strong beliefs. Later, although the one religion became the eagle dog of the Protoss, the previous faith did not disappear. So the one great God was divided into two, one is still the worshipped in teaching, and the other is the only emperor. The only emperor who broke apart, went away, gathered a group of believers, and established the road to becoming a god. Yaming, it turned out to be a mental split. It must be caused by the different beliefs of believers before and after. Dianzun, exactly. So your brother's other identity is the only disciple of the emperor. Yaming was startled, brother is still the only disciple of the emperor. Dianzun nodded, don't be surprised. Any genius like your brother will give a high look. I remember, the yin and yang is the only disciple of the emperor. Yaming said, he and his brother are also brothers. Dianzun, yin and yang are not regarded as pro-biographies. Your brother is. Their status is very different. Speaking of this, Dianzun's complexion was getting worse and worse. He handed a token to Yaming and said, This is the token of the Dianzun. With it you can call all the resources of the temple. Bring him and find your brother, tell him your decision. Yaming nodded strongly, Dianzun rest assured, I will. Dianzun said, his body suddenly stiffened, then turned into light particles, lifted off one after another, and then disappeared. He is completely extinct, and no one can save him. Yaming sighed and immediately closed the immortal temple. Since he came to the Three Emperors world, he went to see Shanglong. Since spreading the 9 transformations of Shanglong Tianshen and Supreme Master Gong, the latter's cultivation has made rapid progress, and now it is still in retreat. He could sense that Shanglong's realm was no longer under him. Of course, in terms of strength, he is still far behind. When Yaming saw that Yi was doing nothing, he said, Don't always be bored in the palace. Rather, let me do something. Yi was very happy and said, A good husband, Yi is also very boring. Every day, apart from cultivation, it is days, and I feel bored. Yaming nodded, Okay. I'll leave the elixir business of the three emperors' world to you. Do you think it's feasible? Yi nodded, relief husband, Yi will not let you down. He then went to meet the emperor. The emperor is chatting with Longwaner. Seeing him, Longwaner said happily, Longer, you're home. Yaming saw Li and laughed, my mother is getting younger, and my father and emperor have not spent much time. The emperor smiled, haha, your boy, you will make your mother happy than I am. Yaming took a bottle of water out of his arms, which is the divine fluid that he created, which he got from the infinite sea. He handed the bottle to Longwaner and said, Mother, this magic liquid of magic has the most magical effect on a woman's skin. You can apply it a few times to ensure that your face stays forever. Longwaner's cultivation is not high. Even if she can extend her life, her face is not easy to save. She was so surprised and happy when she heard that the magic fluid was so effective. She said, my good dragon, mother, thank you. Yaming, where is the mother? This is the filial piety of the baby. The emperor suddenly faced, do you only care about your mother, and forget your father? Yaming smiled, haha, always put the good back. With that, he took out 2 crystal from his arms. This crystal ball is extraordinary. It can store the energy of the heavens and is of great value. Yaming used them to store the god of creation thunder and the lightning of creation. When the emperor saw the 2 crystal balls, he stood up suddenly and asked, is it a thunder of nature? Yaming laughed, to be precise, it is the god of creation and the lightning of creation. The child has had an adventure in the land of creation, and before that he was struggling to collect them. Fortunately, I have recently taken this world crystal and polished it the ball, and then sealed some gods and lightnings to honor the emperor. The emperor haha laughed and said, my good son, with these 2 things, will be a breakthrough and set foot on eternity within 100 years of being a father. This time Yaming was really surprised. Sending the god of creation and lightning was just an unintentional move. After 9 steps supreme, as long as you get these 2 things, can you break through? The emperor seemed to understand Yaming's thoughts and said, longer. You do nt know. Others may get these 2 things, and they may only be strong for a while. Unlike the emperor, your emperor has a certain degree of confidence. I can't chop the 3 corpses. Now that I have to create the god thunder and the creation lightning, I can easily chop the 3 corpses and enter the eternal realm. When Yaming was excited, he was still puzzled, Father Emperor, do you have to cut 3 corpses when you practice to eternity? The emperor shook his head, everyone's way of eternity is different. The Father Emperor cuts the 3 corpses, so he just needs this god of creation and the lightning of creation. As for the eternal avenue of others, it is different, and some people destroy love is forgetful, some people devour the heavens and the earth, and some nirvana is born again. But the Father alone, the means of beheading the 3 corpses, needs the creation of the thunder and the creation lightning. Longwaner was also overjoyed, even chanting, great, great. Longer, you did not let down your mother. Yaming is also happy. The higher the emperor's repair is, the more beneficial it is to him, saying, I knew that, I should give the crystal ball to the father in advance. The emperor smiled and said, it's not too late, but it's just right. When the chores at hand are finished, I will retreat for my father. Having said that, he said to Longwaner, Wainer, go and rest, I will talk to Longer for a while. Seeing that the father and son were so close, Longwaner was happier than anyone, and he said quickly, okay, guys, I'll find some appetizing snacks for you. Longwaner went out. Yaming felt that the emperor's expression suddenly became cold. With a movement in his heart, he thought something faintly. Longer, do you have any truth to tell me at this moment? Asked the emperor. What a clever person Yaming was, and immediately knew that the emperor was afraid to know his true identity. He stood up and gave a deep gift first, it is my sin to conceal the emperor to this day, and asked the emperor to punish him. The emperor waved his hand, you get up and talk. Yaming stood up and looked straight at the emperor. He didn't know how the emperor would deal with him, but he didn't feel the murder, which made him feel relieved. The emperor said lightly, as early as Qi Tianjiao, I knew you were not Long Xiaobai. Ye Ming asked, how did the emperor find out? At the beginning, I completely imitated the breath of Long Xiaobai, and even Long Xiaoyun never suspected it. The emperor said, my bones and blood, from the moment I was born, I felt their mark of life. When Long Xiaobai died, I already knew it. That being the case, why didn't the emperor break me? Ye Ming asked in surprise, he couldn't figure it out. The emperor said lightly, you child, I rejoiced when I first saw you. I thought if you were him, that would be great. And more, I don't want Waynard to be sad. If I know that Xiaobai is dead, I dare not imagine what she will look like. Ye Ming lowered his head and said, it is the emperor's mercy, otherwise I would have been dead. The emperor said, another reason is that I can feel your true heart. You do have filial piety towards Waynard and you are not hostile to me. Especially in the Three Emperors world, you have helped me a lot. It makes me very happy. Ye Ming said earnestly, the liar to the emperor has been uneasy for so long, but I really want to make up for it. I don't know if you are high in my heart, if you don't know the height of the earth. The emperor smiled hee, since the words have been made clear, if you want, you can be my foundation. In the future, I will still be your father emperor. And, don't let Waynard know about this, I don't want her to be sad. Ye Ming quickly met, Ye Ming meets his righteous father. The emperor lifted him up and said, you are a promising young man. In the palace of the three emperors, all the first three emperors favored you. This is something that has never happened in history. One thing I did not tell you, the first three emperors have left a prophecy. If anyone can be favored by them at the same time, that person will become the future leader of the human race. Ye Ming was startled, what other prophecies? The emperor nodded, only the three emperors knew about this prediction. Since then, the emperor has little hope of Si Kongzun, and the emperor is almost on my side. Overnight, I took the initiative. And I do not know if I have borrowed your blessings, my practice has become more and more smooth. Now I have to give you a gift of God of creation and lightning of creation, giving me the opportunity to impact the eternal realm. Ye Ming, it is the blessing of the righteous father. Ye Ming dare not be greedy. Emperor, the relationship between you and me is not worse than that of your father and son, and you don't have to say anything about your life. Ask your father if you would like to accept the three emperors, lead the world of the three emperors, and unite the people? Ye Ming was startled and said, why did the right father suddenly ask this? Unify the peoples? What the first three emperors failed to do, how can I do it? The emperor said positively, why are you arrogant? I have met the master, and even his elderly people treat you differently. And you once entered the land of creation and are the heroes of the human race. Why can't you succeed? Ye Ming asked strangely, Ye father, you have a chance to prove eternity. Why not do it yourself? Because of fate. Ren Huang said indifferently, I can only be your helper and a supporting role. Ye Ming Yu is the real protagonist. Ye Ming was shocked, and the imperial emperor was willing to play a supporting role, which he couldn't believe. However, my cultivation at present is so low that he can't compare with his righteous father. Ye Ming smiled bitterly. This so-called protagonist is really afraid to be. The emperor said indifferently, after a while, I will practice in isolation for my father, I do not know when I will go out. Before I leave, I will pass the position of the emperor to you. Ye Ming was startled, and jumped up, and shouted, no. I can't afford to do it, I really can't afford it. The emperor said, how can you not afford it? According to the ancestral system, as long as you break through to the longevity, you can be crowned as emperor. I think your cultivation should be able to break through in 5 years. Wait for the father, and once you wait breakthrough, pass on you. Ye Ming froze completely and murmured, this is too sudden. The emperor sighed softly, it's a bit difficult for you. But don't look down on yourself, your immortal tree, and the city of war, these powers are very powerful. Then you can make money again. If such a person becomes the emperor will be the blessing of the three emperors. Ye Ming rubbed his nose and asked, Father, I'm afraid I can't compete with the emperor and the emperor at all. The emperor said, he has made an agreement with him, and he will help you at critical moments. Ren Huangdao, as for the emperor, his life will soon die, and he can still hold up to 3 years. Once he dies, you kill with Si Kongzun, let the emperor succeed him and become the next emperor. Ye Mingqi said, let the emperor take over? In case the emperor's ambitions are revealed, take advantage of the opportunity to fight against the water. No. The emperor was very determined, because he did not dare to disobey the will of the 3 emperors. Ye Ming's heart was pounding, is it all the will of the first 3 emperors? The emperor nodded, even the master noticed you, would the 3 emperors miss it? In the palace of the 3 emperors, they chose you, and this is a sign. Let me tell you the truth, the emperor wants you to be the emperor and the emperor. The position of emperor, and then led the 3 emperors to glory and unified the people. Ye Ming only felt chills behind his head and his head was swollen. He murmured, this responsibility is too great, I'm afraid I can't handle it. He was frightened, and if he was allowed to control as much world as he could make, it would be easy to do. But if we say that we can dominate the world, it's really difficult, as hard as ever. You must be competent. The emperor's tone was cold, this is your life. My life. Ye Ming felt hairy, can't he change? Unless you die, this burden must be yours. The emperor said, I told you so much, it is already a secret. But I believe that you should be able to make a wise choice. Ye Ming scratched his face, sighed, and then asked frowningly, Yufo, why must it be me? The emperor was silent for a long time before saying, I can only say that the master and the 3 emperors and the 4 had jointly deduced and saw a corner of the future. In that not-so-distant future, Yu Yeming is the protagonist and the key person who will change the destiny of the human race. Yeming didn't have many surprises, but he was very heavy. What about future protagonists? Even if they are human beings, have they died? Did the 3 emperors fail to treat the Protoss? Seeing that he couldn't lift his spirits, the emperor did not force it, but just said, you slowly think about these news, and slowly decide, I think you will not let us down. At this time, Long Wanner brought delicious snacks, and the family of 3 ate and ate a few pieces. The next day, Yeming left the palace again. The emperor's conversation made his heart confused and hard to settle. He knows that after becoming the emperor, he will be in crisis step by step, and he may lose his life at any time. Does the emperor know what the emperor knows? If he knew, would he let him go? He can even conclude that the person who dealt with Shang Long at first was the emperor or his subordinates. Since it's my life, why not escape? Yeming asked himself, I have practiced martial arts all my life, and am determined to be the strongest martial artist, and I want people to stand on top of all the other people. That is not my belief that I had long ago. Figured out this section, Yeming relaxed again. As soon as his people returned to Tiandaemen, they found him with a small death, saying, there is still a big world, and the continent where the immortal tree takes root can reach 100. Are you still one? Yeming thought for a moment, and suddenly said. Are you still one? Yeming thought for a moment, and suddenly said, it's really impossible, just go to Xiantian world. Yan Ruya was right next to him, shaking his head and saying, Xiantian world is not within the protection scope of Zhongyuan Gang, and there are almost no humans living on it, but it is full of fierce beasts, which is not suitable at all. Yeming was a little helpless, and said, there is really no place to take root. I know a ritual, but it is just a planet, not a big world. Xiao Si said, the planet can also be, the world is also formed by the planet. Yeming thought for a while and said, I have some bugs in Lianji heaven, and now it's time to go and see. The 2 soon arrived in Lianjiaishan. To their surprise, Lianjiaishan was not a planet but a big world. Huh? What happened? How could the planet become a big world in such a short period of time? Yeming felt incredible. As soon as he and Xiaxi appeared, he saw countless army of Zerg, flying, crawling, large, small, dense, and overwhelming, all rushing towards him. A strange thing Yeming found was that the surface of these bugs had a layer of crystal. He practiced the law of crystals, knowing that this state of crystallization, the appearance is very hard. Hard, the sword is difficult to hurt. He was about to kill him, and suddenly heard a strange howl. A huge black scorpion came over. When he saw the scorpion, Yaming shouted, "Black Bull!" It turned out that this scorpion was the black fighter he had conquered by Liang Yishan. Hiba is much more powerful than before. He was a law-level powerhouse at that time, but now it seems to have the strength of a long life. Hiba was extremely happy and hurried to him, saying, "Master, you always come back." Yaming jumped to the black fighter and asked, "What's going on? How did Liang Yishan become a big world?" Hiba then told Yaming one by one. It turned out that at the beginning, these two Yishans were completely controlled by the people of the Tianzong religion, and the forces of the Yunyang religion were squeezed out. Skyworm teaches mastery of insect control technology, and soon controlled a large number of Zerg. Even the black fighters had a hard time, hiding in the west and hiding in Tibet every day, for fear of being taught to discover. However, it didn't take long for the crystal hole where Xiaojing was born to suddenly emit immense amount of light, and a mighty force merged into Liang Yishan. Soon after, these two Yishans had the will of the planet and began to devour the nearby planets. It became bigger and bigger, and soon became the current world. "You mean, what happened to the crystal hole where Xiaojing was born? What happened?" Yaming was puzzled. He immediately asked the Black Bull to go to the crystal cave. When people arrived, he saw that there was still a crystal cave. Instead, it was a magnificent crystal palace, covering an area of several million acres. Yaming had just arrived in front of the crystal palace, and suddenly two humanoid crystal guards came out and said with a mechanical voice, "Welcome the master to return, please master." Yaming froze. How did these crystal guards form? Why is he called his master? Could it be said that Xiaojing was not dead? Shocked in his heart, he quickly entered the crystal hall. Xiao Si and He Ba also followed in. First, they entered a huge hall. There was a sacred phosgene in the hall, suspended in midair. Seeing this group of phosgenes, Yaming felt that its realm should transcend the longevity realm and be almost eternal. "Master!" In that phosgene, a small crystal sounded. Yaming was startled. "Xiaojing, it's you. Haven't you been killed by the Lord?" At the time, Xiaojing did not submit to the Lord, and was killed. Yaming was very sad for a while. Xiaojing said, "Did the master forget that Xiaojing owns the will of Xiantian world? My life is imprinted in Xiantian world. As long as Xiantian world is not destroyed, I will not die." Yaming remembered that at the beginning, he controlled part of the heavenly will of Xiantian world, and later gave it all to Xiaojing, but he did not expect that this would save her life. "But how did you get back here?" Yaming asked. "Xiaojing, Lianji Tian is the ancestral land where I was born. If I were born again, I would naturally be here. Coincidentally, the providence of the Xiantian world was attacked and fell by a powerful existence. So I took the opportunity to absorb the energy of providence, got all the control of the Xiantian world. With the power of Xiantian world, I was reborn here. Because I am God, I took the opportunity to promote Lianji Tian to the world." Yaming was very happy for her, and said, "I haven't been able to sense you since then, and thought you had fallen. I am the god of Xiantian world and Lianji world, so the imprint left by the master is no longer there. But I still admit that you are my master and serve you all my life." Xiaojing said. Yaming laughed, "That's not necessary. We will be friends in the future. I am no longer your master. You are free now." Xiaojing, "Thank you." Yaming, "Since you control the two big worlds, it's best, but I want to root the immortal tree in these two big worlds. Is it okay?" Xiaojing, "Of course it can. But the two big worlds, one of the Zerg world and one of the fierce beasts, are not suitable for human survival." "Anyway," Yaming said, "you just need to help me see if there are precious resources in these two big worlds." Xiaojing, "I'm clear about these two worlds. In Xiantian world, there are actually a lot of Fajinks. In addition, there are a few powerful beasts. Xiantian world god Swal was killed by a beast. The beast was also injured and fell asleep. However, it left a cub. If you need it, you can take it away. I am about to kill it, so as not to become a scourge. Yaming's eyes lit up. A cub? What kind of beast? I don't know, Xiao Jing said. Like a lion, it's white and devours the most powerful beast. Yaming said, don't kill it first, you'll take me to see later. Xiao Jing, okay. As for these two worlds, a strange metal is hidden in their cores, but they are extremely scattered and difficult to collect. Strange metal? What a strange method! Yaming was intrigued and asked. Xiao Jing, this metal has life, can be incorporated into the body, and can change shapes at will. When it is hard, it is the hardest thing in the world. When it is soft, it becomes like water. And, it also can condensate runes automatically, sublimate into smoke, unpredictable. As soon as Yaming guessed it, he almost jumped up and called out, are you saying Fujin? Xiao Jing, not sure, because I don't know what Fujin is. What is Fujin? It is a naturally occurring, extremely special metal with two attributes. It is both supermetal and amulet. Different runes have different attributes. Fujin's uses are extremely extensive. When casting, just add a little bit to create artifact-level things. Fujin can even be used to inscribe the inscriptions on bones, resulting in extraordinary effects. Yaming remembered that he had participated in a certain auction on the mainland of Xiandao with Huaki, and a tiny piece of runny gold with only 1/10 and 2 weights had sold 880 million eternal coins. Can you estimate the rune content in the ground? Yaming pressed the excited emotion and asked Xiao Jing. Xiao Jing, yes. The two great worlds were originally called Lianji Ishan, which contained the mystery of Lianji. Taiji gave birth to Lianji, Lianji gave birth to 4 elephants, Xixiang gave birth to Gossip, and Gossip played Zhou Tian, and experienced millions. In the evolution of the year, it contains 5 types of rune gold, namely Taiji rune gold, Lianji rune gold, 4 elephant rune runes, Gossip rune runes, and De Zhou Tian rune runes. Among them, Tai Chi rune runes are about 80,000 catties, the Yufa gold is about 40,000 kilograms, the 4 elephants are 20,000 kilograms, and the Gossip Fujin is 10,000 kilograms. The largest number of Zhou Tian Fujins is only about 3,000 kilograms. Yaming couldn't help showing a smile on his face. The total amount of these runes was about 153,000 pounds, and 1 pound was 16 2. These runes of gold are obviously more precious than the kind sold at the Fairy Mainland auction, but even at that price, the value of Lianji heavenly runes of gold is as high as 2.4 trillion eternity coins. Of course, Yaming didn't want to sell them all. This is extremely precious. It can't be bought at all, and it's not worth selling. Fujin is the supreme material for building warships. He will cooperate with war civilization to create more powerful warships and weapons. For example, the Nebula battleship is strong because of a small amount of runes. Looking at Yaming's happy expression, Xiao Jing was also happy, saying, these runes of gold are buried deep in the core of the core, and they cannot be fully mined for the time being, otherwise the whole Lianji Ishan will collapse. Yamingji, how much can I pick? It is best not to exceed 1/3 of the total mining volume, and 1/4 is the most secure. Xiao Jing said. Yaming nodded, that's good. Xiao Jing, you can mine 1/4 for me. This thing is so precious, don't worry about it underground. Xiao Jing nodded, and she just waved a hand slightly, and there were pieces of rectangular, palm-sized, flickering metal of different colors flying out of the ground, one by one falling into Yaming's storage ring. These are the runes of gold collected by Xiao Jing. The weight of each piece is not less than 1,000, it is exactly 1,262. Yaming is very happy to receive the charms. These things are worth more than 6 trillion eternal coins. In contrast, his previous business was nothing. He never expected that the harvest of this trip would be so great. He couldn't help asking Little Death, are there any Fujin in Tianyuan mainland? Xiao Dai rolled his eyes, how precious is this Fujin, it may not be possible to find a Fujin in a billion planet, how could the Tianyuan continent be? Yaming shrugged, that's fine. But you have roots in so many worlds, and you have time to look it up and see if you can find something valuable. Xiao Si thought for a while and said, it is troublesome to take root in the big world, but there are countless planets in the universe. As long as you provide enough energy, I will take root on those planets one by one, and then look for precious resources. Yaming said, I'll talk about this later. Qian Zhuang's affairs are on track. I will leave for a while to meet someone. Little Death, if there is any news, you will notify me as soon as possible. Little Dead, rest assured. Yaming said to Xiaojing again, Xiaojing, you can hardly collect faith in these two big worlds. After I become the emperor, I will enclose you as a great god. Xiaojing was overjoyed, thank you. Yaming smiled, you call my elder brother later. Yes, brother. Xiaojing Ying worshipped. Leaving the world of Lianji, Yaming went to the only teaching and told his brother's entrustment. He didn't know the name of this brother yet, only that he was the only young son of the priest, the only apprentice of the emperor, and a man with multiple identities. He couldn't help thinking of himself, but he really had a lot in common with his brother. The only divinity is larger than the Nebula religion, and it controls 75 civilizations, 423 worlds, and countless planets. It can be said that the number of people it controls accounts for almost 1/10 of the total human population.